You ever wake up in the morning and just don't feel like doing nothing? You ever look at your goals, your dreams, and say, not today, I'm tired, I don't feel like it? That's the very moment that decides whether you're going to stay stuck where you are or move closer to where you want to be. Success don't care about your feelings, it only responds to your effort. Discipline over feelings is the foundation of every single success story you will ever hear because feelings are temporary. They shift and they change based on how you woke up, what mood you're in, who said something to you, or even the weather outside. But discipline has nothing to do with mood. Discipline is a commitment you make to yourself that says, no matter what, I'm going to stick to the plan. I'm going to keep moving toward what I said I wanted. And that is where most people fail because they live their lives ruled by how they feel instead of being ruled by what they said they were going to do. And when you live that way, you never get consistency. You never build habits. You just keep starting and stopping and starting again. And that's why so many dreams get buried under excuses and good intentions. When you learn to put discipline above feelings, you take control of your life. You stop letting your emotions dictate your outcome. Because the truth is, there will be days when you don't feel like getting up early. You don't feel like going to the gym. You don't feel like working on your craft. You don't feel like studying. But it's in those exact moments that champions are made because anybody can do the work when they feel excited or motivated. But discipline makes you do the work when nobody is watching, when nobody is clapping for you, when nobody cares. And that's what separates the ones who achieve from the ones who just wish. You see, discipline doesn't require you to be perfect. It just requires you to show up. It requires you to do what you said you were going to do, regardless of the circumstances. And once you master that, you start realizing that feelings are just noise. Feelings are just background music. They're not commands you have to follow. And once you stop giving your feelings the driver's seat, you start seeing how powerful you really are because suddenly you are doing things you never thought possible. You are pushing through walls that used to stop you. You are creating momentum that feelings could never give you. The problem is people confuse motivation with discipline. Motivation is temporary. It's a spark. It gets you started. But discipline is the engine that keeps you moving when the spark dies out. And the spark will always die out. Nobody wakes up motivated every single day. Nobody wakes up feeling like putting in the hard work all the time. That's not real life, but discipline is what tells you it doesn't matter how you feel, you're going to get it done anyway. And when you live with that standard, you start building consistency, and consistency builds habits, and habits build success. Now, here's the thing about discipline it doesn't come naturally, it has to be trained like a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it gets. The first time you force yourself to do something you don't feel like doing, it's hard, it feels heavy. But every time after that, it gets a little easier. And one day you realize you're not even thinking about whether you feel like it anymore. You just do it. It becomes automatic. It becomes part of who you are. And that's the point when your life starts to shift. What most people don't see is that discipline is actually freedom. Because when you are disciplined, you don't have to live in guilt. You don't have to live in regret. You don't have to keep explaining to yourself why you didn't do something. Discipline sets you free because you know you're keeping promises to yourself. And when you keep promises to yourself, you build confidence, you build self-respect, you build belief that you can handle anything that comes your way, and that feeling is priceless. So when you wake up and you don't feel like working, remember that feelings are a trap. They come and go. They're unpredictable. But discipline is your anchor. Discipline is your power. Discipline is the key that unlocks every single door you've been trying to push open. And once you put discipline above your feelings, you stop being controlled by moods and you start being controlled by purpose. And purpose will carry you farther than any feeling ever could. Small steps create big change, and the reason so many people never see progress is because they keep waiting on some big breakthrough. They keep waiting for that one huge opportunity or that one lucky break to change everything. But success doesn't work like that. Success comes from the small things you do every single day that add up over time. And even though those steps may seem tiny, and even though they may feel like they don't matter in the moment, they are building momentum. They are stacking up like bricks. And one day you look back and realize that all those little steps you took have created a massive shift in your life that no one single action ever could have created. The problem with people is that they underestimate the power of small beginnings. They think if they can't make a big move right now, then it's not worth doing at all. So they sit around waiting on perfect timing, waiting until they have more money, waiting until they have more energy, waiting until they feel ready. And in that waiting, they lose years, they lose opportunities, they lose growth. But the truth is, you don't need to have it all figured out to take the first step. You just need to start where you are with what you have and let those small steps guide you into bigger ones. Because progress loves consistency more than it loves perfection. Every great achievement you see in the world was built by small steps. Every business, every career, every transformation started with a decision to do something little and to do it daily. Because when you commit to small steps, you remove the weight of trying to change everything overnight. You free yourself from the pressure of having to be perfect, and instead you focus on building small wins that eventually stack up into something extraordinary. And those small wins give you confidence, they give you energy, they give you belief that you are moving in the right direction. It's like planting a seed. You don't put it in the ground today and expect a tree tomorrow. You water it, you nurture it, you give it time, and little by little it grows until one day you see a tree standing tall. And that's the same way success shows up in your life. The small steps are your watering, your daily grind, your effort that doesn't look like much at first, but over time creates something strong, something lasting, something that can't be shaken. And that's why small steps matter more than any grand gesture. Another thing is small steps teach you discipline. They teach you patience. They teach you how to keep moving forward when you don't see immediate results because results take time. And most people quit before they get to see them. They quit because they think what they're doing isn't working. But in reality, it is working. It's just working in silence, behind the scenes, slowly building into something that will one day surprise them if they don't give up. Small steps also protect you from burnout. Because if you try to do everything all at once, you'll wear yourself out. You'll overwhelm yourself. But when you take it step by step, you create a pace that you can sustain. You create habits that stick, and you allow yourself room to grow naturally without forcing it, without rushing it, without trying to skip the process. And the process is where all the growth happens. The process is where you become the person capable of handling the success you're chasing. So don't ignore the power of the little things, because the little things turn into the big things. The daily choices, the daily actions, the daily commitments are the very things that change your life. And while other people are waiting for a miracle, you can be creating change one step at a time. And over time, those small steps will add up to something so big it will feel like a miracle. But the truth is, it was you. It was your discipline. It was your patience. It was your willingness to keep taking small steps even when you couldn't see the results yet. Comfort kills progress because the moment you start getting comfortable, you stop stretching yourself, you stop pushing past limits, and you stop reaching for more than what you already have. And comfort feels good in the moment, but it is a silent trap that keeps you stuck in the same place year after year because nothing grows in comfort. Nothing new is born out of staying the same. And the truth is, growth only comes when you put yourself in situations that challenge you, that make you feel uncomfortable, that force you to dig deeper than you thought you could, because that discomfort is the signal that you are moving toward change, and without it, you remain exactly where you are. People love comfort because it feels safe, it feels familiar, it doesn't require risk. But the danger is that comfort convinces you that it's okay to settle. It tells you that average is enough. It whispers that you don't need to try harder. And little by little, you start accepting less from yourself until you wake up one day and realize you've been standing still while others kept moving forward. And that realization hurts because you know deep down that you were capable of more, but you chose easy instead of progress. You chose comfort instead of growth. And life doesn't reward comfort, it rewards effort and courage and persistence. When you avoid discomfort, you avoid the very process that shapes you into who you're supposed to become. because discomfort is the teacher that shows you how strong you are. It's the test that proves to you that you can endure. It's the fire that burns away the weakness and leaves behind resilience. But you never discover that if you keep running back to what feels easy. And that's why so many people stay in jobs they hate, relationships that don't fulfill them, routines that don't challenge them, because they would rather feel safe than risk the pain of change. But that safety is an illusion because it is slowly stealing their potential. The people who make it big in life are the ones who learn how to get comfortable being uncomfortable. They learn how to lean into the grind, how to face challenges head on, and how to embrace situations that force them to grow because they understand that discomfort is temporary, but the results that come from pushing through it last a lifetime. And once you train your mind to see discomfort as an opportunity instead of an obstacle, you start chasing it. You start seeking out challenges instead of running from them, and that's when real progress begins to happen. Comfort also blinds you to possibilities because when you only live inside what's familiar, you never open yourself up to what could be. You never discover your true capacity, and you never find out just how far you can go. But the moment you step outside that comfort zone, you realize there's a whole new level waiting for you. Opportunities you never saw before, skills you didn't know you had, strength you didn't know was inside you, and all of it was on the other side of doing something that scared you, something that made you nervous, something that forced you out of your safe bubble. It takes courage to break out of comfort because comfort is seductive. It always calls you back. It always offers the easy way out, and your mind will try to protect you by telling you to stay where it feels safe. But that safety costs you your future, and every time you resist the temptation to settle for comfort, you build strength, you build courage, and you build momentum that carries you toward progress. Because progress never comes easy. It always demands that you leave behind something familiar and step into the unknown, and the unknown is where greatness lives. So the next time you feel that pull towards staying comfortable, remind yourself that comfort is not your friend. It is the very thing holding you back. And the uneasiness you feel when you push past it is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are right where you need to be, because discomfort is proof of growth. Discomfort is proof of progress, and discomfort is the only path that takes you from where you are to where you dream of being. Consistency beats talent because talent might give you a head start, but consistency is what carries you across the finish line. And too many people waste their potential because they think talent alone is enough. They think being gifted will guarantee success, but the truth is, talent without consistency is wasted. It's like having a powerful car with no fuel. It looks impressive, but it won't take you anywhere. And the people who win in life aren't always the most talented. They are the ones who show up every single day, no matter how they feel. They are the ones who keep going when others quit. And that steady grind is what turns ordinary people into extraordinary successes. When you are consistent, you build momentum. You may not see big results right away, but over time, your effort compounds, and the small progress you make each day adds up into something massive. And most people never see that because they quit too soon. They give up when it gets hard. They stop when results don't show up fast enough. But the ones who stay consistent create habits that can't be shaken. They create discipline that carries them through hard seasons, and that discipline becomes more powerful than any natural talent ever could because it doesn't rely on feelings or luck. It relies on showing up. Consistency is also what builds trust with yourself and with others. When you keep showing up for your goals, you start believing in yourself in a way you never did before. You build confidence because you know you can count on you, and that self-trust becomes fuel that pushes you to keep going. And when others see your consistency, they respect it. They notice it. They may not say it out loud, but they know you're serious. They know you're reliable, and that opens doors because the world always rewards those who are dependable and steady. The danger with talent is that it can make you lazy. It can trick you into thinking you don't need to put in the work, and that arrogance is what destroys people with potential, because while they are coasting on talent, somebody with less skill but more consistency is quietly grinding, quietly improving, quietly preparing, And one day, the consistent one passes the talented one because consistency sharpens skills, consistency builds resilience, and consistency develops character, all things that talent alone can never provide. You can see this truth in every field of life. Athletes who train daily outperform naturally gifted ones who slack off. Students who study every day end up surpassing those who are smarter but inconsistent. Entrepreneurs who grind consistently build businesses that outlast those who just rely on big ideas but no steady execution, because consistency has a compounding effect. It multiplies your effort and turns it into results that talent without work will never match. And that's why consistency is always greater than talent. Consistency also protects you from the trap of excuses, because once you commit to showing up no matter what, you remove the option of backing out. You no longer let how you feel decide if you're going to take action. You let your commitment decide, and that mindset keeps you moving forward even on the tough days, even when you're tired, even when motivation is gone. And those are the days that matter most, because anybody can work when it's easy, but consistency proves itself when it's hard. So if you've ever felt like you're not the most talented, not the smartest, not the strongest, don't let that discourage you, because what you lack in talent, you can make up for in consistency. And the truth is, consistency will always outlast raw talent. It will always outshine natural ability, and it will always separate the ones who dream from the ones who actually achieve. Because the real winners are not the ones who start the fastest. They are the ones who keep showing up long enough to finish the race. Sacrifice now, rewards later is one of the hardest truths people struggle to accept, because everybody wants success, but very few are willing to give up the things that keep them from reaching it. And sacrifice means you're going to have to let go of comfort, let go of distractions, let go of temporary pleasures so you can build something permanent. But the problem is, people want the rewards without the sacrifice. They want the success without the work. They want the results without the discipline. And life just doesn't work that way, because everything worth having comes with a cost. And if you're not willing to pay it today, then you're going to pay it in regret tomorrow. When you understand sacrifice, you start realizing that the pain of discipline is far lighter than the pain of regret, because the nights you stay up studying instead of wasting time, the mornings you get up early to grind instead of sleeping in, the weekends you spend building your dream instead of partying, all of those sacrifices don't feel good in the moment, but they are shaping your future. They are creating opportunities that you can't see yet. And when the results show up down the road, you'll be grateful that you gave up a little comfort to build something greater. Sacrifice teaches you patience, because you don't get rewarded immediately. You have to learn to put in the work today and wait for the payoff later. And that waiting builds character. It builds resilience. It builds the mindset that allows you to handle success when it finally comes. Because if you can't handle sacrifice, then you won't be able to handle success either. And the truth is, success requires discipline long after the reward arrives. So sacrifice now is really just training you for the bigger life that's waiting on the other side of your effort. People who avoid sacrifice often end up living lives of mediocrity, because they never put in enough to separate themselves from the crowd. They settle for what's easy instead of what's best. And the danger is that while they are choosing easy now, they are building a harder tomorrow, because the comfort they cling to today becomes the struggle they'll face later. And meanwhile, the people who were willing to sacrifice are enjoying freedom, success, and opportunities that only come from paying the price up front. And that's why sacrifice isn't punishment, it's an investment in yourself. Sacrifice also tests how badly you really want something, because it's easy to say you want success. It's easy to talk about dreams, but when it comes time to give up sleep, give up money, give up time, give up comfort, that's when your true desire is exposed. And if you're not willing to let go of something small now, you'll never be ready for something big later, because life doesn't hand over its best rewards to people who just wish for them. It gives them to people who prove they were serious enough to sacrifice. There's a reason why people who succeed often look back and talk about all the sacrifices they made, because they understand that the grind, the discipline, the nights of struggle, The times they walked away from temporary fun, all of that built the foundation of the life they live now. And the crazy part is, once you get the reward, the sacrifice doesn't even feel like it was a loss because what you gain is so much greater than what you gave up. And that's the part people miss when they're focused on what they're losing instead of what they're building. So every time you are faced with a choice between comfort now or sacrifice now, remember that the easy road only feels easy in the moment, but it gets harder down the line, while the sacrifice feels hard right now, but it leads to a future that feels easier, lighter, freer, and the truth is, you will have to suffer one of two pains in life: the pain of sacrifice or the pain of regret. And the choice you make today will determine which one you're going to live with tomorrow. Push past excuses because excuses are the number one reason people stay stuck where they are. And the thing about excuses is they sound good, they sound logical, they make you feel justified in not doing the work. But the truth is, excuses are nothing more than lies you tell yourself to stay comfortable, and if you keep believing them, you'll convince yourself that it's okay to settle. You'll convince yourself that you can't do it. You'll convince yourself that the timing isn't right, and those excuses will steal years from your life because every excuse you accept is another step away from your goals. Everybody has excuses. Everybody has reasons why they can't. But winners are the ones who push past them. Winners feel the same tiredness, the same fear, the same doubt, but instead of letting those feelings run the show, they say, I hear you, but I'm doing it anyway. And that's what separates successful people from the rest. Because at the end of the day, excuses don't stop being available. There will always be something you could use to justify quitting. There will always be a reason to stop, but if you learn how to ignore that voice, you'll start building momentum that excuses can't touch. The danger with excuses is that they are easy to believe. They make sense in the moment, and sometimes people around you will even support your excuses because they don't expect more from themselves either. And before you know it, you're surrounded by a culture of people who justify mediocrity, who pat each other on the back for staying the same. And if you don't break out of that mindset, you'll end up stuck in the same cycle, repeating the same stories, using the same reasons year after year for why you're not where you want to be. And that's why excuses are so dangerous. They don't just slow you down, they trap you. When you push past excuses, you start to realize how much power you actually have because most of the barriers you thought were holding you back were never real. They were just walls built in your mind. And the moment you push through them, you see that it wasn't as impossible as you thought. You just needed to stop accepting your own limitations. And that's when you start building real confidence because you're proving to yourself that you are stronger than your excuses. And that proof changes the way you look at challenges going forward. Excuses also rob you of accountability because as long as you're making them, you're not taking responsibility. And if you don't take responsibility, you can't take control. But when you stop making excuses, you put yourself back in charge. You admit that it's on you. And that's powerful because once you admit it's on you, you also admit you can change it. You can do better. You can grow. And that shift from blaming to owning is the turning point where excuses lose their grip on you. The truth is, your future doesn't care about your excuses. Your goals don't care about your excuses. Life doesn't care about your excuses. All that matters is whether you did the work or not. And nobody is going to hand you success just because you had a good reason why you couldn't. Because reasons don't get rewarded, results do. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll stop wasting energy justifying and start putting that energy into action. So the next time you hear that little voice trying to hand you an excuse, shut it down immediately. Don't give it room to grow. Remind yourself that excuses are the comfort zone talking. They are fear disguised as logic. They are weakness pretending to be wisdom. And the only way to break free from them is to act in spite of them, to prove with your actions that you want the result more than you want the excuse. Because once you start living that way, you'll notice your excuses get quieter and your progress gets louder.